Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Midday Live from the News Hub. My name is Portia Gabo. Coming up. Small-scale miners respond angrily to Cabinet's decision to extend ban on small-scale mining activities by 3 more months. President Akufo-Addo to launch $150 million sanitation campaign. Good news for businesses as government to reduce electricity tariffs in the 2018 fiscal policy documents to be read on Wednesday. Coming up in international news, a strong earthquake has hit Iraq and Iran with at least 332 people killed. In our very first story, a 64-year-old widow lost all her belongings and business capital Monday morning when fire swept through some 17 wooden structures near Alajo Christ Apostolic Church. A timely response from the National Fire Service, however, prevented the fire from spreading to the Fountain Junior High School.
This was where Auntie Felicia's makeshift structure was prior to the Monday morning fire. The remains of the fabrics, most of which she took delivery of less than a week ago on high purchase, is indicative of the damage. She was not at home when the fire reportedly began around 7:40 a.m. from one of the wooden structures here. A swift response from personnel of the National Fire Service and the youth of Alajo helped to contain the fire. Nevertheless, the combustible nature of the structures prevented access to properties and personal belongings in the 17 affected wooden structures.
We can't locate the place, but we saw the smoke from the fire, trace the smoke to the fire scene. But as we get here, we saw that this building, as you can see, the fire was spreading to the building. So we tried to put that, prevent this building and put the fire under control. So there's no any casualty.
Management of the Fountain School, who declined to speak on camera, praised the response from the fire service and the support from the community. The junior high section of the school has meanwhile been closed down temporarily pending assessment of the effect of the fire on the school.
Let's now go to the Ashanti region, where the academic calendar of the colleges of education is likely to be disrupted as teachers in the sector have failed to call off a 2-week strike. Following a meeting with CTAG, the Ministry of Finance has scheduled a roadmap for a validation exercise to be completed by the end of November. But the teachers are not satisfied. Kofi Edu-Domfe speaks to the National Secretary of CTAG, Prince Obenhima in Kumasi.
The Ministry of Finance, after your meeting, has indicated that they are already willing to address your grievances. Now, they've indicated that the roadmap towards payment should be effected by the end of November. Indeed, they need to validate your membership. Why have you not resumed?
Yeah, you recall that CTAG, we've been very consistent, and consistency is key in all these things that we are talking about. Initially, we even said that in the face of the ruling that came out of the National Labour Commission, directing the Ministry of Finance to pay the money to us within 2 weeks, we're going to stay home to wait for the payment to be effected before we go to class. But realizing that that wasn't going to happen anytime soon, we said, why not? In the interest of Mother Ghana, for the love of the students and our future and all of that, why don't we make an adjustment? And that is where morally we adjusted our situation that, look, just give us a written commitment, spell it out in clear explicit and without any ambiguity, time or period that you think you can pay us. Then we can hold that and show it to the whole world that we are going to be paid around this time. Indeed, you indicate that they have said they are going to do this audit service and what have you. I believe it's all part of the activity that will lead to the payment of the salary arrears. And in the wisdom of the National Labour Commission, and as the ruling stands, all these things ought to have happened within the 2 weeks.
But you would appreciate that a 2-week ultimatum may not be visible, looking at the number of teachers under CTAC that needs to be validated. Now, they are saying that this validation must take place. Are you not in support of the validation of your membership?
Why not? Not validation that we do to get paid every month, but they claim there's a special procedure they need to go through. Let's work out the mathematics. From 4th October up to today that we are talking, how many days are in there? So I believe if there were any kind of commitment that one wanted to demonstrate, they would have done that by doing all the things they ought to have done. So by now we'll be talking clearly about payment schedule.
In other words, you don't find this to be enough commitment?
That's how we see it. Because if a ruling came out on the 4th of October, and then 1 month down the lane you've not complied, National Labour Commission comes out with another reminder telling you that I gave a directive on the 4th of October. Today is 2nd. You have not complied. You have a legal duty to oblige by the directive because it could potentially disrupt activities on the campuses. Then it tells you that you have a legal duty to comply with the directive.
Through the communique that was issued by the ministry, they are saying that at least go back in the interest of the students you seek to serve so that they work out this validation and effect payment. I believe this is a fair stance from the ministry for you to comply with.
I want to see the ministry's directive that we should go back to the class as an appeal, but not a directive, because when you are on strike, it's indeed the National Labour Commission through the courts that can direct that you have to go to court. Where we are now, I believe that there is a ruling that has been given by a commission of competent jurisdiction with high court powers, and one party hasn't complied. So let a party come clear, comply, and we'll all safely cross that bridge.
Well, that's the stance of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, saying they are not currently in agreement with the Ministry of Finance stance on a roadmap for them to have their arrears the payment of the arrears coming into the account from the end of this month. They are saying until there is an actual commitment from the ministry, they are not going back to the classrooms. My name is Kofi Edudomfe in Kumasi.
Well, TV3 did reach government on a response on this particular issue, but they declined to comment on it. Now, if you are a businessman or woman, this should come as good news to you, as President Akufo-Addo says government will review electricity tariffs as Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta readies himself to give government fiscal policy for 2018. President Akufo-Addo says government will not relent on its promise to bring down the tariffs.
Government is moving to set in motion the process for the review of electricity tariffs. And in the budget to be read by the brilliant Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, on Wednesday, 15th November, I'm sure you will hear some good news in this regard. Industry is going to be given all the assistance we can muster. Today, our nation stands on the threshold of a momentous transformation, the like of which her history has never known. It is an exciting time to be a Ghanaian.
Let's get more updates on this and speak with Ishmael Ejekumhene. He is the Executive Director of the Kumasi Institute of Technology and Environment. And good afternoon and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon.
Now, ahead of government's reading of the budget on Wednesday, what are your expectations?
Well, let me greet your viewers. I honestly don't have any expectations. I actually would wait to see what the government has in mind before I comment, because I don't want to get it. I'm not good at getting into the minds of politicians these days. So I'd rather I listen to them and then I make a sense of what exactly they are telling us.
All right, now President Akufo-Addo has indicated or hinted of a reduction in electricity tariffs in the 2018 budget. There is also the expectation of using gas to power thermal plants in the country to reduce cost of electricity. How feasible is this?
Well, let me put it this way, and then I'll say another thing. Once the tariff that we're paying at the moment is a combination of technologies and the fuel that we use to run the technology. So PURC will put all the generation options in a basket and say that because we're doing 60% hydro or 60% thermal, hydro or vice versa, this is how much you should pay. And if, for example, the thermal plants there is 50-50 and you have 70% of the thermal plants generating electricity using crude oil, it's definitely going to be more expensive than when it's using gas. So if government is hinting that tariffs is going to come down, probably it's as a result of the fact that it is convinced that more gas is going to be used, in which case PURC will be in a position to say that because the dynamics have changed and the parameters have changed, we are reducing tariffs. So I suspect that's going to be the argument, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable if I hear government announcing tariff reductions, because the moment you do that, then you are suggesting that you fix the tariffs, and it will be difficult for you to go back and tell the people that it's PURC that whose mandate it is to set tariffs. So probably the president wanted to give industry assurance that they're working with the PURC to put in place the mechanism where the tariffs is going to be, because at the moment government announces that it's going to reduce tariffs, then people will always go back to government and say tariffs are high, and then you lose the argument that it's the PURC that sets the tariff. But if it's that tariffs are, there's going to be a hint or there's going to be an announcement that tariff is going to come down.
Well, we have a hitch over there. Thank you very much. Ishmael Ejekumhene is the Executive Director of KITE. Let's now continue with the rest of our stories over now. And Cabinet has approved a 3-month ban on small-scale mining in the country following its fight against Galamsey. Lands Minister John Peter Amewu says government will soon roll out a plan to reclaim degraded land.
The ban has been extended. That's a statement we all know. I mean, because this is supposed to end somewhere in October, and nobody is still mining. So the ban has been extended. Of course, everybody should be aware. That is a fact. We're going to launch a reclamation, fund, of course, and there are a lot of partners that are prepared to support us. We have seen some support already coming from the Australian High Commission, the Chinese embassy, they are on board.
Meanwhile, the small-scale miners have responded to Cabinet's decision to extend a 3-month ban on their mining activities, but the small-scale miners are not enthused about this decision. Well, Collins Osei-Kusi is the chairman of the Small-Scale Miners Association. He spoke to News at 1 Sunday night.
Yeah. We will talk about illegal mining, and even the minister was talking about illegal miners. But if illegal miners are doing something wrong, why should he involve with the legal miners? Because we, the legal miners, we get training. We have collaboration with School of Mines, and we know how to do things right. So if illegal miners are doing something wrong, why should we be punished? This is where we don't agree with the minister. Because in Ghana, we have our law backing any Ghanaian who want to do this type of mine or small-scale mine. So if someone has license to operate a small-scale miner, why should a person be banned not to work? Many of our members, Some of them even have died. Some are dying. Some too are not. Even some children have been sacked from school. So it's a problem. Many of us are owing banks. You see, for some time ago, no bank was no bank wanted to help with the miners, and now many banks want to help the miners. So if the government is not careful, a time will come, no bank will help the small-scale miners. And because this mining activity needs a lot of money and it's capital intensive, we need enough money to do this mining. That's why some foreigners have entered into this mining sector.
Well, Collins Kusi spoke on news at 10. Another news, President Akufo-Addo has charged members of the clergy to help government in the fight against vigilantism. Speaking at the Trinity Theological Seminary on Saturday, President Akufo-Addo says, unlike other leaders who looked on for the menace of vigilantism to become a canker, he will do all within his power to solve it.
Christian theological education is of no use if it cannot be translated into a system of moral recovery and practice. I entreat you to speak out against the ills of our nation and join government's fight against them. Corruption, social and economic injustice, crime, the illegal mining menace popularly referred to as galamsey, and the new phenomenon of vigilantism. As I indicated earlier this week, in my meeting with the National House of Chiefs, I will do everything in my power to arrest this new phenomenon. I will repeat here what I told them. I will not walk the path others trod who found it convenient to turn a blind eye to the criminal misdeeds of their followers and took no action as it would displease them. I am walking another path, the path of making reality the principle of the rule of law, the idea of equality of every citizen before the law. Wrongdoers wear no political colors. They are just wrongdoers and will be dealt with as such.
And a political science lecturer at the University of Cape Coast has charged President Akufo-Addo to live beyond the political talk and end vigilante canker that has rocked his administration. President Akufo-Addo over the weekend spoke on News at 10 on Call Emisa. Well, Call Emisa spoke on the inability of government to stop the upsurge in vigilante groups in the country.
When you look at the president's call to the clergy to help him, it's a bit problematic. Why? Because this is not a moral issue. You know, when you read and listen to the president, you realize that he was talking about, you know, helping him to speak out, you know, about the ills of the society. This is not a moral issue. This is definitely a legal issue. If it was a moral issue, then we can talk about admonition.
Do you also think that this is also a leadership issue? There are those who criticize President Akufo-Addo, suggesting that his approach is more like just rhetoric. He's just talking and not taking any action.
Well, I wouldn't say that all that he has been engaging in are mere rhetorics. Just that I still would want to see more. The president needs to do more. We heard the president talk to the IGP about the actions that should be taken, but we would want to see him do more, especially when it comes to the security people taking up issues. And this brings me to this issue, Stephen. You know, we have gotten to the stage that we need to have a security apparatus that cuts across, you know, party and government of the day. You know, when you have say an IGP who doesn't have a security of tenure, an IGP who comes in only when there's a new government and all that, you have a security apparatus that is not very much responsive to especially acts of party members in government, and that is exactly what we are facing, and it seems to be very recurrent, and we think that something must be done about it.
President Akufo-Addo, in his bid to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa, is launching the National Sanitation Campaign today, Monday, November 13, 2017. The campaign, which is to be implemented by the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, is expected to change the attitude of Ghanaians as regards proper sanitation. The campaign, according to the Sector Minister Joseph Kofi Adda, will consolidate existing national policies on sanitation. President Akufo-Addo in April 2017 promised to make the state's capital the cleanest city on the African continent in the next 4 years. You're watching Midday Live from the News Hub. We have more news coming up shortly. Do stay with us. Well, President Akufo-Addo says government will review electricity tariffs as Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta readies himself to give government's fiscal policy for 2018. President Akufo-Addo says government will not relent on its promise to bring down the tariffs.
President Akufo-Addo said there has been a relative stability of the past situation in the country.
In working systematically to accentuate the decline in interest rates by strengthening the macroeconomy, government is also designing innovative, structured solutions to remove one of the main constraints to rapid industrial growth.
He said 192 business plans for the One District, One Factory initiative have been approved for takeoff.
If the requisite investments to undertake these new industrial initiatives can be secured, the development of the economy and its capacity to generate jobs will be dramatically enhanced. We're going to do our maximum to secure these investments.
He also hinted of the establishment of an integrated bauxite and aluminium development authority, as well as iron and steel development authority.
It appears rural banks in the country will not have to worry about meeting the December deadline for the new minimum capital requirements. Well, this is because the governor of the Bank of Ghana says his outfit will be flexible on the deadline. The governor disclosed this at a ceremony to mark the 6th annual Rural Banking Week in Accra.
The Bank of Ghana had asked financial institutions to recapitalize to help address the collapse of some banks as well as protect depositors. December was supposed to be the deadline for rural, community and other commercial banks to meet the new minimum capital requirements. All the 141 rural and community banks were expected to raise 1 million cedis paid-up capital by December 2017. The Association of Rural Banks had consistently called for an extension of the deadline. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, says his outfit will consider the extension.
I heard plea on the need for the Bank of Ghana to review the deadlines that are associated with meeting these minimum requirements. And I can assure you that the Bank of Ghana will be flexible and will work with you to help strengthen the rural banks.
Chairman of the Association of Rural Banks, Nana Dr. Akowa Buama, welcomed the news.
It's very good news. We don't want one suit fit all. What we want is some liberal terms by which the banks that are struggling will be able to make up the capitalization.
Managing Director of the regulator of the RCB's ARB Apex Bank, Kojo Mata, says his outfit will support the banks to raise the capital.
We are excited that the governor announced that they will be flexible. How flexible, he didn't say, but we hope at least we'll have 2018 to put the houses that are not in order, to put those houses in order.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia charged the banks to take advantage of the technological drive in the country to meet the needs of customers.
The rural bank should take advantage of the digitization that is taking place in Ghana today. No excuse anymore to say, I don't know my address.
The 6th annual Rural Banking Week was on the theme, Rural Banking, Key to National Industrialization.
And pressure is mounting on government to ensure that the 2018 budget institutes measures that will mobilize enough revenue for the country. While after failing to meet revenue targets for the first 3 quarters of this year, stakeholders want government to be innovative in widening the tax net.
Revenue and grants performance for the first 7 months of the year, which was expected to be 24 billion cedis, fell short by 3.2 billion cedis. According to the Bank of Ghana's latest monetary policy summary report, the continued revenue underperformance could pose some challenges to the fiscal outlook. The report maintains that revenue performance has been undermined by low import levels, slower pace of implementation of specific tax measures, revision of tax assessments, and a sluggish non-oil real sector. A research fellow at the IES, Dr. Osei Sibyl, wants government to address the issue of revenue mobilization as it readies to present the 2018 budget.
Central bank financing is now down to about 0%. Then the only way that government can execute its budget is to mobilize enough domestic revenue. I mean, mind you that this government is focusing more on social policies, which is very heavy on expenditure. So in a situation where you're not going to borrow that much or, allow the central bank to finance certain key aspects of the budget, then, of course, your only trump card is to making sure that you look within.
Former Minister of State in charge of public-private partnerships, Dr. Abdul Rashid Pelpo, shared a similar view.
We are failing in our revenue budget, mobilization. Our targets are failing. How will this budget make amends? So even though we are failing, the fundamentals can be better.
In other news, the Ghana Employers Association has implored informal sector employers to desist from terminating appointments of employees without recourse to the Labour Act 651. The association is of the view such terminations flout the Labour Act and could compel affected employees to drag them to court.
The Ghana Employers Association made observation during a press interaction in Accra. Discussions with the press emphasized on the need to explain the dictates of the Labour Act 651 to those in the informal sector. Already, the informal sector employs more than 60% of the Ghanaian workforce. According to the Ghana Employers Association, it will sensitize employers to desist from terminating the appointment of the employees in the informal sector without recourse to the Labour Act. Director of Industrial Relations at the Ghana Employers Association, Joseph Kingsley Amwa, also spoke on occupational health and safety hazards in the informal sector.
We also we are trying to sensitize them on occupational health and safety, because we realize that some of these informal employers and workers, they operate in
like welders.
Yes, definitely welders and others. So issues about occupational health and safety is very critical.
Head of Corporate Affairs for the Trade Union Congress, Papa Dankwa, assured to impress upon governments to remove taxes on minimum wage.
Looking at wages, we are looking at compliance with minimum wage. We are looking at enhanced wages beyond minimum wage, depending on the kind of workplace in the informal economy we are talking about, if we want to enhance the welfare of our people, generally speaking.
A labor economist, Benjamin Osei, urged government to streamline operations in the informal sector to expand the tax net.
Most of them are not even registered. They are unregistered. They have to be registered so that their identity becomes visible. It is true that we'll be able to talk about putting them on wages and salaries or something like a salary that you could tax them.
And as it's for business, we have more news coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
Hello there, it's time to do sports here on Midday Live. My name is Yao Ofusulabi. On to our first story now. The Black Stars rounded up a poor 2018 World Cup qualifying campaign with a 1-1 draw against Egypt in Cape Coast on Sunday. A full house saw Egypt take the lead through Shikabala before Edwin Jesse scored the equalizer on his home debut for the Black Stars. The result means Ghana finished the campaign in third place behind Egypt and Uganda and no home win after 3 draws. The Black Stars also won only 1 game in 6 throughout the campaign, but Coach Kwesi Appiah hopes the final days provides some hope for Ghana.
You know, it was a really competitive game. We all know Egypt to be a very good side. And actually my ambition was to go out there and try and get a win. And it's just unfortunate because we had 63% possession and, you know, about 24 shots at goal. In that aspect, you know, I wish that, you know, we had a win, you know, considering the fact that we had a lot of new players in the team.
Now, I mean, you just mentioned the new players, I mean, Nana Mpoma, and then several other new players have come into the side. Edwin Jesse today got a start and played the full game. Were you impressed with what they were able to do for the side?
Yeah, I was really impressed. Looking at the team, you know, we had only about 3 or 4 new old players in the team. All of them are virtually new players, and you know, playing at home automatically, the confidence level, you know, will not be as high. Individually, they did so well. Tactically, you know, they were very tactically disciplined.
When should we expect the rebuilding process to end so we know we have a good Black Stars team that we can count on, and this team should take us to win things?
No, I believe that, you know, this year, for instance, I had a lot of mass collapse, you know, for one particular game. And what I'm saying is from next year, maybe by middle of next year, you know, there should be a cut-off point, and then, you know, rely on the core group of players that are, you know, but saying that if 1 or 2 players are doing so well, you know, why not? I'll be given the chance to come in.
Well, Amsterdam-born Edwin Jesse introduced himself to Ghanaian fans in the best possible way with the equalizer for the Black Stars, and told TV3 he was delighted with his contribution.
It's my first international goal and my second call-up for the Ghana Black Stars. It feels great. When I scored, I saw my family. They were jubilating, the whole crowd, and yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing, yeah.
Were you disappointed by the scoreline?
Yeah, of course. I think we wanted to win the match, especially when you play home. Yeah, but 1-1 is better than losing the game.
What does the future look like for you, for the Black Stars?
Black Stars, yeah, I hope to be a regular player. Everyone was happy for me. It feels good, and yeah, I hope in the future we can go to a World Cup. I can play on a World Cup with the guys.
Well, the game was also Godfred Donsah's debut for Ghana, and the former under-20 star was honest in his assessment of how it went.
When I was substituted, I can see that I wasn't able to do my best, so I think it was a great opportunity given to me, but I think I wasn't able to do my best, as I've been saying it.
Why do you feel you were not able to do it?
Because my passes were not penetrating. I wasn't able to be a good use for the team, and I think I can do better. That's why I'm saying that I wasn't able to do my best.
What do you think the future looks like for you in the Black Stars?
I think the future is bright because I don't take it to be that today I wasn't able to perform as people wanted me to. So I think I need to go back to my club to do a hard work and also to work on what I couldn't do today and also to improve myself. And I think I'll be back to the national team if the coach calls me. I'll be back so that I can prove everything that I couldn't do today.
Well, let's go off the field now. And Cristiano Ronaldo has announced that he is a father of a baby girl. Ronaldo posted a photo on Twitter on Sunday of him and the baby's mother, Georgina Rodriguez, and his older son in a hospital in Madrid. The baby is Ronaldo's fourth child. He had 2 children earlier this year, reportedly through a surrogate mother. Well, so that's all the sports here on Midday Live. There'll be more sports news later on News 360 when Nana Kojo joins you. We'll step on the breaks now. We'll be back with more news.
And Ghanaian actress Yvonne Nelson has finally broken her long silence over giving birth out of wedlock. The new mom told the WOW magazine she sees nothing wrong with giving birth before marriage, adding she planned it with her baby daddy. Also, Arai has more.
News of Yvonne Nelson getting pregnant before marriage, contrary to dictates of traditional African beliefs, has been discussed widely. It's confirmed Yvonne delivered a baby girl on October 29, but before now, the actress was tight-lipped about her pregnancy. When news made rounds in late October that Yvonne was pregnant, the actress described it as a mere rumor.
I know I've been missing in action. I'm sorry guys, it's just been that I've been very busy and I've been running around a lot. And there's so many rumors going on. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's a lot of rumors. Hey, Charlie, I don't even know what to say.
But the utterances of controversial TV relationship counselor Lutrud affirmed news of Yvonne's pregnancy, explaining the role model was not setting a good example for other young girls. Yvonne finally broke her silence in an interview with the WOW magazine, opening up on her pregnancy. The actress differed with expectations that she should have been married before giving birth. According to Yvonne, it is no crime for a woman who is of age and wants to have kids to do so with a responsible guy with similar feelings. You can go ahead and do it if you think the guy is right, responsible, and makes you happy, she added. But what appears intriguing is why Yvonne turned down a proposal but went ahead to have a baby for a guy who hasn't proposed. Yvonne, aged 32, revealed she turned down a marriage proposal at age 30, hinting she didn't want to move to London as the guy had requested. To Yvonne, she simply chose friendship, understanding and happiness ahead of someone who would just put a ring on her finger. On whether she is discussing marriage with her baby daddy, the Heels and Sneakers producer said, "Marriage is scary, but of course, I love my child to have a dad around. So yeah, when it happens, I'll be glad."
And that's it for Midday Live. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Portia Gabo. Good afternoon.